Previously on Bravo Outsider. I was like, what the f, Margaret? You're way smarter than this.
I'm the first one who knew about your book.
Why are you pushing members over to that side? She's not necessarily pushing people to Teresa's side. Margaret and Melissa are trying to orchestrate an actual freeze out of Teresa. They want her off the show, but they can't do that because Teresa is the number one point of conflict for everyone. So she's actually trying to shuffle the deck so that there is another side and that the show can continue it without Teresa, so that there is enough there to sustain a post-Teresa world. So that's why she's pushing Fessler away. That's why she's pushing Jackie away. That's why everyone on that side is, for like no reason, being like, we're in a pretty good place with Jen Aydin right now. I think that this is a 4D chess move to be able to create an environment that doesn't need Teresa in order to sustain it for the sake of conflict. Okay, let's talk about Real Housewives of New Jersey then. Vero, do you want to give us a quick summary what happened this episode?
Yeah, so we, started where we left off with Rachel Fuda and the Fudas versus Teresa, Giudice, and Louis, and storming off from the restaurant. I don't know how any of us expected that lunch to go, but I don't know if we can even call it a lunch. Then we got to go into everyone's home. We got to see everyone's family dynamic. We got very intimate with pretty much every housewife, I would say, for a decent amount of the episode, which felt like a bit of a filler. And then we end up at Melissa and Joe's housewarming, where you have conflict happen between almost every cast member possible. Every time I thought there couldn't be another fight, there was another fight. So that was pretty much the episode summarized.
Yeah, totally. The scene that took place at this like meetup between Rachel and Teresa and Louis and John. What was this place? It was like the back room or like
they got like a private room in a restaurant or something, and then just
with the white tablecloth, like the whole thing.
Yeah, nobody else was there either, right? Like you see them walk through like the whole restaurant. It's just been open so they can open one room in the back and sit down and that
empty parking lot.
Yeah. Bizarre place.
I did think that this was like a great scene for just, we all knew how this was going to go, but I like that it was used to kind of introduce Chekhov's gun with this gift where, Teresa like gives this bottle and be like, bring this to the housewarming.
Chekhov's blue
party.
label.
Yeah, exactly. On that note, let's do our artistic analysis of this. Vero, we'll start with you. Anything stand out to you?
Okay, so as we know, The Real Housewives of New Jersey is a franchise that is just all about family. Good, bad, ugly, you get a lot of family. And when I was analyzing this through a different lens than I usually do, I thought it was really interesting that they really lean into this family aspect of the show in a way I hadn't noticed before. So we literally were in Danielle's home watching her wake up her kids, and she's in a robe and she's in slippers and it feels very intimate, and her kids are just waking up. Then we're with Teresa and Louis with their kids, and he's getting a haircut, and Teresa's also in a very casual outfit. I mean, they're all in glam, but dressed casually. Then you have Dolores, her mom, and her daughter on her daughter's only day off, and they're eating together and they're having these conversations about, Dolores's future, and it feels very intimate, like you're almost at family lunch with them. Then you're with Rachel Fuda and John, and you're on the living room floor with her kids, and you're hearing more about her daughter and the developmental issues they're having, and you feel like you're part of the family in that moment. And then we're with Margaret, and we're in her bedroom helping her pick out her outfit. And then we're on her bed with her and her husband, and she has her hair tied up and she's wearing the under eye patches, and she's also in a casual outfit. And then we're with Jennifer Aydin in her bedroom with her husband. She's also dressed very casually. And it's just, I'd never noticed the way they lean into this family aspect. And they bring you into the most intimate parts of their household. They really bring you in with their family and the different issues they have in their family dynamics. And it feels like a filler when you're not analyzing it through like a conflict perspective. But to me, it was such an interesting aspect of today's episode.
Yeah, totally. I think that it was really effective, like you said, for us to see all of these women in isolation within the context of their family and have that juxtaposed against what the dynamic is like when they are together and in a situation that is like loaded with, you know, all of this drama. It really, I think, served the drama well, especially because, you know, you feel a lot more empathetic and you feel a lot more connection to these characters as people when you've got this additional context. If we were just going from dinner to dinner and not seeing everything that's going on in their lives and like building that connection, I think it would make these conflicts feel a lot less real and a lot less like personal. Dylan, what stood out to you?
You know, I want to talk more about that bottle. That first of all, it's like just it's just a great Joe Gorga thing that he's like a Johnny Walker Blue Label drinker and has like a cellar full of them. Apparently, that seems very classic Gorga, and just the way that Melissa has to deal with Teresa being there even when she's not there, and the way that it like sneaks in the back door through Dolores of all people is like just like such a great twist. And also a bit of a rhyming moment with Dubai where we also have a letter in this episode, except in this episode, the letter is unread and dramatically burned in one of those like little like crappy like fire strips, which is great because like Joe gave that note so much more value than whatever might have been written on it by burning it.
Totally.
For sure.
And that was the I think from his perspective, the worst thing he could have done was to burn it because he can't take offense at anything that's written, but he has to own the destruction of the attempt to reach out of that of an olive branch that was offered, even though he won't accept that it is an olive branch. And I think his explanation of why it doesn't count as an olive branch doesn't really make sense. He's like, he seems to be saying that it doesn't count if it's done publicly, but it's not really being done publicly unless I mean maybe that was always Teresa's plan that Dolores would bring it over or something, but it's like it did kind of just sneak in there. It's not like Teresa showed up brandishing it during the scene. So
she even put the ball into that side's court by first offering it to Rachel to bring.
Exactly.
Rachel like should have known that this was going to make its way to the party if she left it behind, because of course it's going to. This was a really great example of Teresa being a very smart housewife in a way that people don't like give her credit for, because there was nothing that could go wrong for her once this was introduced. If she gave it to Rachel, then Rachel took it and didn't deliver it, then that is like a potential like point of conflict and leverage that she has. If she does bring it and deliver it, we see what happens at the party, where like Teresa is now able to be present at this party without being present. I think that this was just very smart for her to like really just create something out of nothing. And this bottle, it representing the family bond that Teresa and Joe Gorga have, like that's the brand that their father drank. And so to show up and have this bottle that represents Teresa at the party, like a full-on guest. It's basically Teresa's a guest at the party. And then for Joe to take the card, strip this piece that represents Teresa, like strip the identity from it and put the bottle away in, with a bunch of other bottles, and then take this piece that now represents Teresa, this card, and throw it in the fire. I just like loved it. I thought it was so loaded with symbolism, and he basically made a martyr out of Teresa, like you said, Dylan. He like burnt this publicly, and we see the people who are slowly moving over to the other side, like Jen Fessler and Jackie, and how they respond to this. It's just like making a martyr out of Teresa and increasing her power. It just, I loved it both symbolically. I loved it strategically. Yeah, I loved it.
One of the interesting things I find when you see the scenes where Teresa's talking about Joe or Joe talking about Teresa always refers to Melissa and Joe, or not always, but a lot of the time, as either my sister-in-law or my brother. Like, not, oh, can you give this to Joe? She's like, oh, can you give this to my brother? Or, oh, my sister-in-law in confessionals. Versus Melissa and Joe just refer to Teresa as Teresa and Louie. And I just find that aspect of Jersey so interesting in the family dynamic of Teresa will not let you forget who's who and that they're related and that this goes deeper than just a housewife conflict.
Yeah, totally. Let's get into quotes. What was your favorite quote or standout quote from this episode?
Mine is, am I a slob? Dolores to Jackie. It was just so good. It was just, and I love seeing Dolores activated. She is back this season. I'm not that she ever went anywhere, but she's really this season going to get, I think, her teeth involved, and I'm excited.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'm definitely. That's one of the things that has been exciting me the most this season is that Dolores was so like keeping her hands clean the previous season, and now she's getting like right up to the wrists in this one, which is whether she wants to or not, which is really great. And she's becoming more of an engaged character too with the stuff with Polly, with her like whole act of being like, oh, I'm not getting nervous that we're not getting married, but I'm getting nervous that I will be getting nervous, like very like trying to play up that she's not worried about this is all fine, but also is clearly like getting worried about it, and Polly being like, well, we can start a business together, and then Dolores justifying it, being like, it's the highest form of flattery when a man says he wants to start a business with you. Is it, Dolores? Is that really I'm not sure about that, but also love that after like a couple episodes ago, we had Dolores naming every one of her fucked up lopsided dogs, and they're all called like just like Rock and like Microwave and shit. In this episode, we see a dog of hers that's just named Dog. So good work all around. And yeah, the fact that she ends up being the one sidled with this bottle is just another one of those moments where it's like, okay, now you can't disengage. You can call yourself Switzerland as much as you like, but now you are fully implicated, and that's good. I want that.
Yeah, I loved this dynamic that we got between Dolores and Jackie and Margaret. I thought that this was a really I love what they did visually with this conflict as well. When we see Jackie and Dolores like talking about the whole situation, and Dolores is like the fulcrum between the conflict between Margaret and Jackie at this point, and we get this like rack focus from the conversation between Dolores and Jackie to Margaret in the background, like texting receipts to Dolores right in front. I just like, and then that's when we see like the seesaw fall, and now Dolores and Jackie have beef because
just
of this
in real time. Margaret's just dipping into the arsenal.
And Joe going, look at the phone, look at the phone. That was so good.
Yeah, really good.
Dolores puts her glasses on. I'm checking on my dogs. Such a good moment.
Yeah, putting the glasses on just makes it that much funnier too. Great work all around.
There was another moment within this like Margaret Jackie conflict that I really loved, and it was when Joe Bonino has like no idea what the situation is between Jackie and Margaret, and Jackie goes and gives him this like long hug just to piss Margaret off, and it works great. So well. It's so good.
Yeah, that's Jackie too is another person who like wasn't really engaged last season, and this season is really getting her hands dirty. So I love that too, and I love that mood from her to immediately just walk over to Joe and be like, "I love you," and he's like, "Yeah, I love you too," and Margaret's like, "What the hell are you doing?" It's just
that was a good moment.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit more strategy here. Did anything stand out to you, Vero?
Well, I was going to talk about Marge showing the text about Dolores to Dolores, and one of the things that I find so interesting about it is that I'm still lost on how this friendship feels like it has exploded before our very eyes. And I think Marge doing what she's doing feels classic Margaret, just to go, you want to hurt me? I'm going to stab you where it hurts. I'm going to come for you hard. And so showing the text felt like, oh, you guys, the trust is now going to be over. And it's now going to turn into a battle of who said what about who and what other messed up things people have said. And it felt very in the moment from Margaret, but also something that she must have been sitting on, especially because we know that those texts were sent after the charity event where we saw Jackie and Margaret get into a bit of a tiff. So I think Margaret's probably started getting ready to have things in her back pocket when she needed them. And totally. I thought that was an interesting strategy on her behalf because it does feel like there was a real friendship between her and Jackie. And yeah, it was a move. It was a move. And to piss Dolores off, we're going to get some good TV out of it.
I feel like my theory on what Margaret is trying to do with Jackie has been proven correct this episode. So if you haven't listened to our past episode, we were talking about how confusing this situation between Margaret and Jackie is and why this is like blowing up and why Margaret would be trying to, create conflict with Jackie as opposed to bring her on side when her real beef is with Teresa. My theory was that Margaret is trying to completely ice Teresa out of the show by not giving life to any conflict between her and Teresa. She's trying to make an environment where conflict can exist without Teresa. And that's why when things got set off between Jackie and Margaret, where it was like, oh, well, Jackie said that Rachel and Teresa aren't going to make up with Margaret and Melissa in the year. Margaret goes over and starts getting into it with Jackie, but she gets into it about the book. Like she does not get into it over this conflict with Teresa because she doesn't want to give life to the conflict with Teresa. She wants there to be conflict as a result of other things. She wants to be able to make a case to production that we don't need Teresa on the show. We've got more than enough things that we can fight about. We don't need to bring her into this. So like you can cut her. And I don't think it's going to work. I think we're just seeing Teresa is just playing at a completely another level. But I think that this is like a very smart and savvy move to try to do this. I think that this is a very smart play. I don't think it's going to work, but I think it's really smart. And I feel like it is an attempt to ice Teresa out, not just like by leaning into the conflict and trying to get people not to film with Teresa, but by making all the points of conflict be external to Teresa, where she doesn't have a hand in it, and so she's not useful to the show. That's my thoughts on what the strategy is.
Very interesting. I also, now thinking about it, I did find it interesting that when the whole Blue Label fiasco was happening by the fireplace, Margaret was sitting there with Jen Fessler, was it, I believe, and didn't say a single word about it. Which I think last season, Margaret would have been the first to be like, that's so rude of her. I can't believe she would do that. She's very opinionated, very outspoken. So it is true that she's trying not to give energy to most things involving Teresa. That's very interesting.
Let's get into our highlights here. Dylan, we'll start with you. What were your highlights?
The whole party at the end was amazing, but I think we've covered that in detail. I'm also really interested in John Fuda versus Louis. Even maybe more so than Rachel versus Teresa. So that's like kind of bit that we got at the start carrying over from the previous episode. It is something that's really interesting to me. And I'm just waiting for John Fuda to like pull evil Louis out of his shell, out of his like routine of being like, I'm a good dad. I'm a great loving guy now. I'm just happy, Mr. Family Man. That he's so insistent on underlining every scene he's in. And John Fuda's coming in as such like a blunt instrument, really, like coming into that conversation and just basically being like, I'm not going to play ball. I'm not going to have discussions. I'm just going to storm out. I'm waiting for that to like trigger the chaotic, evil Louis that we saw bits of last season. So that's kind of something that's also really interesting me too.
Yeah, Dark Louis rising.
Yeah, we need Dark Louis back because that guy is so chaotic and so weird. Just a weird man that I love to watch him.
Vero, how about you?
I think my highlight is, first of all, anything Dolores this episode. I thought she was hysterical. But that lunch that she had with her mom and her daughter, I love their family dynamic. I love all things. The Catanias are just incredible. The mom's funny and it's sweet and it feels very real. And you can tell the daughter like doesn't really care about the show. But she's also willing to like get involved when necessary. So that was a big highlight for me. Also, I mean, it goes back to the Blue Label. Dolores just like running around the party holding it like a deer in headlights of oh shit was so funny. I was like,
like a hot potato, yeah.
I was like, put the bottle down. Just put it down and walk away from it. That gave me a little bit of a giggle.
My highlight that we haven't really talked about too much yet is this emerging conflict between Jen Aydin and Danielle. I love how leading up to it, we got this conversation between Bill and Jen where Bill's like, oh, do you think Teresa's going to mind you at this, going to this party? And obviously Teresa wants boots on the ground at this party. So that is like, there's no question there. But when they get into the discussion about Danielle and Jen Aydin is like, oh, she's an elitist. People remember how you treat them on the way up. And God has a way of humbling you. And she's referring to herself as God. Like, I'm going to humble you. I just thought that was really amazing. I love when we see a engaged Jennifer Aydin who's like ready to make things happen, which is pretty much all the time. Like Jen Aydin is a fantastic housewife for that. But yeah, I loved her getting herself amped up with Bill over this and excited to see how this plays out.
Yeah, Danielle's in a really vulnerable position right now because she's kind of been pushed out by both camps and she's just kind of, she feels kind of on an island right now.
What was interesting about that conflict is Danielle was really quick to apologize. They got into it a little bit by the bar, but then Danielle was like, listen, I'm sorry if I dropped the ball. I'm sorry if I did anything wrong. Like, I do take it on the chin. But then we see next episode that things are very much not squashed between the two of them.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited to see how this, because it could have, if Jennifer doesn't want any problems with Danielle, she could have taken that apology and been like, all right, yeah, we're done.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But she's going to have a problem with her.
Yeah, that scene where they're talking about it, you're right. It's so energetic to see, Danielle is trying to really de-escalate the situation, whereas Jen Aydin is trying to do the opposite and ratchet things up and being like, no, this is a problem. And I don't think that Danielle has the experience to really read between the lines here as to what is going on. Like we saw last season, Danielle, fantastic housewife. I love her. I think that it was a great rookie season, but she got misted by Jen Aydin and Teresa. Like they were able to play her like a puppet, and we saw that play out. And she's not picking up on the clues that Jen has to leave as a result of like building this conflict with her. She's trying to play from her heart a bit here, and obviously it's not going to pay off given the previews that we're seeing for next week. Let's talk stars. Vero, we'll start with you. Who are your stars?
I think we have to give the first star to the Blue Label bottle. I mean, it has to be all the zoom-ins they gave that bottle were perfect.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be my number one. My number two is gonna be Dolores because she gave us more insight on her personal life. She also pot stirred, which we very rarely see Dolores get her hands dirty in other people's drama like that. Not only with Melissa and Teresa, that kind of pot stirring she did there, but also going up to Marge and being like, Jackie just said this about you. And then being like, oops, that was a fun moment. And then seeing her get activated. I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. It's going to be a good time with Dolores. And then third is going to be Margaret. I mean, sending that text was so that screenshot is just It was everything. And I understand her when you're in a moment and you're like, that person really pissed me off. Let me just act on it and really give it to her of she's going to regret this. And Jackie's reaction to it was also so good. I loved it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Dylan, how about you?
Got to give it to Dolores for the first star. Great episode for her. Really, for all the reasons we discussed. Let's give a second star to Jackie. I mostly just love her going over to hug Joe, but also was just like, I'm just glad that she's getting a little messy. She's really getting implicated here. Let's give a third star to Louis because I just laugh every time he's on screen. I just like what a strange man he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think number one star. I agree. It's the bottle for me. It's it's the emotional core of this episode. It's the strategic core of this episode, and it's perfect. I want to give another star, I think, to Jackie. I think her doing a lot this episode and, just being an agent of chaos, which I don't ever remember Jackie when she was like a full-time housewife being as chaotic as we're seeing her this season. So I really love that. And then, you know what? I want to give a third star to Joe Gorga because I think even if it was like a little bit of a misplay and emotional to like throw the card into the fire, I just really like that as a visual moment and adding power. And it was something that really stood out to me in this episode, and I think it deserves props. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, I think that about does it. Did you guys have any final thoughts on New Jersey?
Yeah, I want to ask you what you guys think of the word slob. How offended would you be if someone called you a slob?
I'd be pretty offended. I do like it as a word. I like the way it sounds. Like it sounds like an insult. I love an insult that just like that sounds like the way it is. Like it sounds like a blob of crap just like hitting a tiled floor, slob. It sounds like it sounds insulting. And so it's good for that. It's a good word. I would not want to be called it. I think if slob is the new rat, I'm happy. I'm happy that we have a new word that's beyond the pale that gets to be litigated.
I agree. I think it's not a very nice thing, obviously, but in the like spectrum of things that you could be called, it's kind of nothing. Like I don't know. I can see it providing momentary offense, but I don't know that it's got the lasting power to really be a continuing issue between Jackie and Dolores. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, that has been Bravo Outsider for this week. Vero, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at that'smyopinion.pod and on where you get most of your podcasts, That's My Opinion Pod. And yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. Dylan, how about yourself?
You could find me on Substack once in a while. My name is Dylan Ferguson. You can find me in the comments of these videos if you really look for me, if you really try to find me.
Say something mean like call us slobs.
Yeah, give me a slob.
Yeah, I'm Craig Midwinter. You can find me on our Instagram or TikTok at Bravo Outsider. BravoOutsider.com is where you can find all of our episodes. It's mostly linked to our YouTube, but on occasion we will put out a VR version if that's something that you are interested in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave your mean comments below. Until next week, keep on wifing.